And the first is, and then I'll be picking up your calls at after the bottom of the hour. Well, maybe we'll have some time for some in this segment, but I want to go through this in some detail. The administration, the Trump administration, has been Donald Trump and his acolytes have been basically saying that everything that they're doing is to protect American jobs, right? All this in terms of trade. That all of taking on China, and this is, by the way, this I believe is the main reason why Trump is rising in the opinion polls, and he is. He's not, apparently hasn't risen as much as Rasmussen says. The polls that he quotes, all the other polls say, well, but he's still rising in the polls. And I think one of the major reasons is that Americans think that Donald Trump is out there fighting for them with regard to international trade. And Robert Lighthizer, who has been on this program, is his major trade advisor. I agree with Lighthizer, which means that, I agree with what Trump is doing, by and large, in terms of trade policy, or at least trying to repair trade policy. I've been preaching this for decades, as have most Democrats. Donald Trump, you'll notice that the strongest opposition to Donald Trump's trade policies is not coming from the Democratic Party. It's coming from Republicans. Republicans for years. Richard Nixon was the guy who opened China to trade. We had a ban on commerce with China in 1972. It was against the law for American companies to do business with China. And Richard Nixon, apparently at the behest of, and there are stories that he was campaign contributions or bribes or who knows what, or friends of B.B. Rebozo, but apparently on behalf of Pepsi-Cola Corporation or some other corporate entity or other corporate entities. Richard Nixon went to China and said, hey, you guys want to do business with us? Let's make a deal. And as a result of that, over time, we have seen now China become the second largest economy in the world. So we kind of built China. We helped build China. Walmart helped build China in a huge way. Our companies in the United States deciding to move their jobs overseas because of foreign trade policies that were started by Nixon, amplified by Reagan, put on steroids in the during the Reagan administration, the Bush administration, the Clinton administration, the Bush administration, and the Obama administrations. All of these administrations have supported basically, they've tried to get China to behave better. Hey, please stop stealing our intellectual property. Please stop, please allow our American car manufacturers to sell cars in China and things like that. But the Chinese have said, no, we're not going to do that. And one of their companies, ZTE, was facing over $1 billion in fines. This is a cell phone manufacturer. They make some of the cheap phones that you buy in the United States, the little flip phones and burner phones and stuff. So you've probably not heard of their name because they don't sell them under their own brand name, but ZTE is the company. And one of the core elements for cell phones, and I believe it's the chip that makes the cell phone happen, but whatever, one of the core elements for cell phones is made in the United States. And ZTE wants to sell in the United States. And ZTE is also selling phones and doing business with both North Korea and Iran, which are both violations of U.S. sanctions. So the Commerce Department said, ZTE can't do business with the United States. ZTE complained to the president of China. The president of China called Donald Trump. Donald Trump tweeted, "Too many jobs lost in China. Commerce Department has been instructed to get it done." In other words, to let ZTE do whatever they want. So much for being tough on China, right? Now, odds are that Trump is doing this, and if this is the case, I'm not sure, we should absolutely condemn him for this hypocrisy. Odds are that he's doing this because he knows that, the North Korea deal is not going to happen without the support of China. So he's trying to play nice with China. And this is part of the equation that previous presidents had about, okay, do we want to go after China on trade or do we play nice with them? But the bottom line is that, Trump's whole thing about, made in America. See, if Trump really believed in made in America, When ZTE, a company in China that has 75,000 employees and does business in more than 160 countries, when they said we are suspending operations because the American market is such a big part of our business and we need parts from America that we can't do business without America, when they said that, Trump should have said, great. We would be glad to build factories in the United States. We don't need ZTE. We'll get a good American company to build cell phones in the United States, the cheap flip phones and stuff. You know, the burner phones, the disposable phones. We can do that. We have technology, we have educated people, we got all kinds of cool stuff. But Trump didn't say that. Trump said, okay, we're going to protect 75,000 jobs in China. Meanwhile, you'll recall that the United States has a $2.5 trillion deficit in infrastructure. Mike Pompeo over the weekend said that the United States, quote, could help build out the energy grid that needs enormous amounts of electricity in North Korea. Americans could also help, he said, with investment in infrastructure and agriculture to help feed the North Korean people. Lindsey Graham, Republican from South Carolina, said basically rebuilding the infrastructure of North Korea would, quote, be the best money we ever spent. So let me get this right. We don't have enough money to rebuild the infrastructure of the United States, but we do have enough money to rebuild the infrastructure of North Korea. We have a massive unemployment problem in the United States, particularly in our inner cities. And the Republican response to that has not been to change our trade laws so the jobs come back to Detroit, but instead to say, you know, if you're going to be on Medicaid, you've got to have a job, even though there are no jobs.